trying this again for the second time because I definitely recorded this already. Twice at this point. First time I didn't like it, second time without audio. Third time's the charming, isn't that what they say? So I just came back from a couple of trips visiting my family. And it was very revolutionary for me. I learned some things and I got to see some things that I won't say that I didn't see before because they have always been there, but some things that I was kind of blind to, and no, not blind to. I could see them, but I didn't associate them with being harmful to me. And I guess I've just gotten to that point now where I really have done a very good job of making my life pretty much stress-free. And so going back and being surrounded by everybody's energy again was just a lot. I think one of the first big things that I kind of noticed that I didn't really see before is that your family, one of the things I learned, I should say, is that your family can be your biggest bullies. And I say that as somebody who has literally been bullied her whole life. And it was like they've always kind of picked on me for being the odd man out. But it was very much brushed under the rug as, just family ribbing or whatever. And I see that for what it is like little ways in which your family will talk down on you and try and break your self-esteem, but they do it in a manner as if you're supposed to take it like them joking or whatever. No, I don't think, you might feel like it's joking if you're a person who partakes in family ribbing, but to the person who's always attacked, it very much wears on their self-esteem. And that's what happened to me. There are things my family would say about me growing up, and they very much gave me they very much contributed to why I had low self-esteem for so long and why I am, having to combat it and come out of that now. It's so funny because coming from a family that preaches family first and, family over everything, I didn't understand how emotionally manipulative that can be, but it very much is. If you're sitting up and you're talking about somebody, and then, this person expresses you're hurting my feelings, I don't like it, for you to then turn around and tell them they're being too emotional, they need to get up out of their feelings after literally coming for their character and who they are as a person just naturally, that's somewhat emotionally manipulative as shit. And what's crazy is we very much were raised to be disconnected from our feelings. Why it didn't work on me, I don't know, because I should definitely be a savage out here with just the way my folks raised me and how bad the bullying got, or how badly I was picked on from my family, from people who called themselves my friends, from people I went to school with, church members, all of that. I was getting it. I was getting dogpiled on my whole life emotionally. But that's besides the point. But yeah, like I remember growing up, my mom, like one of the first things that she would say to us would be, not to us, but one thing I do remember her like saying to me in particular is, whenever I did have an instance where somebody was picking on me and it hurt my feelings and I would be crying about it, she would say, you gotta stop crying about this kind of stuff. You gotta learn to, hit back. And for me, I didn't want to do that. If my feelings are being hurt by these things that people are saying, what makes you think I want to turn around and do that to somebody else? I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I even remember this one instance where she told me, like, stop crying. Somebody had picked on me or whatever, and I was crying about it. It hurt my feelings, like, whatever. And she came and she hugged me, and she hugged me for like 5 minutes. And then, once I had kind of settled down and got myself together, she was like, I want this to be the last time I see you crying about this. So I was supposed to be like a savage emotionally, just out here really not giving a fuck about anybody and their feelings or whatever. But I couldn't do that. Unfortunately, not all of my siblings were like that, because I definitely found myself in a situation where my sister was trying to emotionally manipulate me and then gaslight me at the same time. And I didn't go for it. I didn't let her try to use her love language to kind of pacify the behavior she had exhibited towards me earlier. I would have in the past, but I don't live there anymore, where I live more for other people's emotional well-being than my own. I'm not willing to make myself uncomfortable for the sake of other people's feelings. That was a revelation in itself for me. Like, that's how far I've come, number one. But number two, being able to see the origin of gaslighting and why I feel like I've been challenged with this so much in my life and it's because it started with my family. And because I didn't see it in my family dynamic, because I was looking at everything through rose-colored glasses, I think it left me open to being able to be taken advantage of that way from people outside of myself, when I did go out into the world. And so being able to like come back home and really put that particular chapter of my emotional health to rest, and finding out where that came from has been such a relief, because I know it was a learned behavior. And if it was learned by my folks, and in a way me too, then I can go in and I can unlearn it, and I can be better, and I could take better care of people's emotions in my future. And I think one of the biggest lessons of all is that my childhood wasn't what I thought it was. Like, because of who my parents, were, the fact that I grew up in a two-parent household, and, I was so active in church and in my school, on my track team, and, you know, I've always had such a connection to myself. I thought that I came from a good family and a good background, but it's like the more that I look back at my life and I dissect everything, and the more that I talk about it with people, the more that I'm able to see that my childhood very much was not normal. I should have known that, like when I went to college and just having conversations with people, like just how differently I thought about everything. But it really didn't kind of start to dawn on me that everything wasn't as copacetic as I thought until I told one of my coworkers on my very first job about my life. You know, it started off with her being like super interested to hear everything, and like she had this really open face as I was talking, and it was very I don't say smiling, but it was definitely like very like, it was more so leaning towards like positivity, if that makes any sense. um but it was like the longer that she listened to just everything that I had gone through, and the more she listened to my life, that happiness and pleasantry just kind of faded away until her face was covered in absolute shock and horror. You know, by the time that I was like done telling my story, in my mind, I was like, yo, I don't know why she's looking at me like this. This is normal, you know? But the more I got exposed to the world and I visited different places and I met new people, other parts of my family even, I noticed like, yo, y'all aren't going through this shit. So what the fuck? Like, what did I grow up in, you know? And getting to go back and just hang out with everybody, I get it. I understand finally that look on her face, because oh my God, have I deluded myself into thinking that my parents and my situation growing up was just typical run of the mill, you know? On the outside, it looked like that. But the details, the fine details, baby, no, absolutely not. And then, you know, having to just kind of expose my younger brother to, just to the reality of the situation. My youngest brother, I should say, just to the reality of who my father is and why I don't come around. I think that was the hardest part of all of this, because he had no idea. I would say he doesn't know my father. He had no idea my dad's been to prison. He had no idea that my mom and our dad got a divorce because of cheating. Like he didn't know any of that, and I had to expose him to that. And I shouldn't say I had to, but he asked me, and I didn't want to lie to him. And, you know, I didn't want to lie to him the way he's already been lied to by our father. And I didn't want to keep him in the dark like our stepmom is, you know? I don't think that's fair to him. And I feel like if he's going to be a whole person and grow and learn and change and to be better than where we came from, he has to have all the information. So that's why I told him, you know? And again, he asked me. I'm not gonna lie to him. I refuse to keep anybody's secrets from people that actually want to know the information. So having to like break that news to him was also just another big revelation. And I'm not sharing this because I want pity or anything like that. You know, it has nothing to do with that. And it's more so just to kind of helped me process everything that I got to see, as well as just let people know, like, yo, we've got to reframe how we look at family. I think one of the worst things that I was ever told and that I've ever heard out is that blood is thicker than water. Because while that may be true, blood also leaves some of the worst stains in clothing. And when you have that family tie, I find that a lot of people will take advantage of that relationship and feel as though they can treat the people who are supposed to be closest to them any kind of way, and they're just supposed to take it because we're family. I think it's important to know that your family is people just like everybody else, and they are absolutely capable of doing you dirty. And I would say they are capable of doing you even worse than anybody on the street ever would, because they will abuse the relationship that you have and the intimate knowledge that they have about you. They will definitely take that and use it as a means of breaking you emotionally and spiritually, mentally, and physically, even in some cases, and stealing your power in that way. Me personally, moving forward, I will treat my family like I would any other person on the street. You don't know me until you do. You're not close with me until you are. And I think that just it is how it has to be. It's a means of protection, you know. I'm not going to be taken advantage of anymore if I can help it. And I don't think you should either, you know. We can't allow this label of family to be a crutch and a hindrance in us standing up for ourselves. I did that for several years, and I'm not doing it anymore, and I don't want you to either. So yeah. Thanks for coming, checking me out, listening to me talk to myself like usual. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day or nights, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next one. Peace.